Chatty Factories is a project funded by the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council to investigate how new forms of data are driven through technological innovations in Internet of Things and analysed through artificial intelligence can shatter the current conventions in product design and drive innovation into product design and manufacturing.
Within industry, a lot of the products that we deliver to customers, we don't really know how they get used, how they're utilised, how effective they are. So the implications of really understanding how the products get used allow us to be able to close the design loops, to be able to design new processes and features that the customers might like.
What we're doing here is thinking about how we can better design the product on how it's actually used, as well as how the customers perceive it could be improved.
Imagine creating a product that you already know your customers will be happy with, that you know that there will be quite a lot of demand for, because you have the data that actually shows you that people are interested in using this product this way.
As an example, mountain bikes came about because people found that they were taking their road bikes off onto hills, and over time manufacturers noticed this and started to make bikes that were more suited to rugged terrain.
The idea is that if we could have captured that use data, the businesses would have been able to spot this and sort of innovate earlier.
So by applying sensors on the seat or on the steering, you can begin to measure the mass, the body weight, and then all of that data can begin to inform how you want to either create a new product or how the product is actually being used to then recommend enhancements to that product.
So there's an opportunity here to use new forms of technology such as 5G communications, Internet of Things and advances in sensors to bring all that data back and get new insights into how the product is being used in the real world.
So when the data comes in, imagine collecting it in large and large volumes. Well, you begin to need artificial intelligence to be able to make sense of all of this data. So we're creating methods that we can then use unsupervised machine learning to identify points of interest within the data that can then influence how our knowledge on how the product is actually being used.
So there are many ways to make sense of data. One of our key ones is to talk to people about it, to use the data as a prompt to have a conversation. Based on that, we can start to annotate the data and add meaning to it. And then we can start to work in collaboration with algorithms to connect up theoretical ideas and data to actual human behaviour and human needs. So this project is really an evolution of that and trying to bring the data more intimately into the design process.
Now today, data is of value. So this means that malicious individuals are also interested in data. So we need to ensure that we are securely collecting this data, ensuring that we have appropriate consent from the people that are actually creating the data, and we're also securely processing this information.
I think one of the biggest challenges we have using big data in design is data is useless unless you can pull good insights from it, and the products you design depend heavily on the data that you give the designer or the computer in this case. The potential with technology is we can take all of the insights we've gained and actually put it into the design process, allowing us to get to market quicker, i.e. being more efficient, and also saving cost along the way.
Typically, designers will do a lot of research up front sort of with consumers, trying to understand what their needs are, and then these products go out into the wild. All of the sort of use data is sort of lost. It's potentially really rich. If we could start to channel that into the design process, we can start to optimize products and make them cheaper, more efficient, all of those types of savings. But then there's other types of innovation, and that's what we want to be able to do with Chatty Factories. At the moment, even very small design changes can cause factories and manufacturers to have to completely reset up their processes, and this can take months. And what we'd really like to be able to do is compress that down to just a few hours. But in order to do that, we would need to be able to have our sort of digital designs twinned with the manufacturing environment so we can very quickly update, validate the designs and update the sort of manufacturing processes.
If you're continually changing your product design, you're going to have to continually be changing how things are done. So that's going to be reskilling the humans, but also teaching the robots to do new things every time you want to do it.
So we're also innovating with AI into how to really quickly retrain human and robotic processes as the new designs are coming in.
So one really good example would be making prosthetics. They tend to be sort of made one size fits all. So you'd be looking at continually changing those designs and finding a way to continually change the way that you're making them so you can meet that need. So there's two main outcomes. The first one is that you need a factory floor that can reorientate itself so you can have different processes done in different orders. And at the same time, when you're changing the way something is being done, you need to reskill both the human and reprogram the machine or the robot that's doing it.
There are major concerns, understandably, around how AI could put humans out of a job, but actually as humans we do things that AI can't.
So a big part of this is we need to reassess the relationship between humans and technology to make sure they work together well.
Currently there's a very limited understanding of the relationship between humans and robots. We're taking various new and radical post-human theories of learning, attempting to use them to formulate a toolkit to identify some of the implicit assumptions that organisations and people are making in their understanding of human-robot learning and relationships. So the idea is that these different philosophies or worldviews will give you a sort of fuller picture of the different dynamics at play.
So we're really innovating in how to better involve the human into that retraining of the whole production process on the factory floor as real-time designs come in. UK manufacturing needs to compete with the rest of the world. Through shattering conventions in how product design and manufacturing are currently done, we believe that the new forms of data and new forms of product design and manufacturing can really put the UK on a big competitive advantage globally when it comes to innovation.